Hi, it's Take Two with Therese and I'm here for Altenew and I have an awesome kit to share with you. It's called the Beloved Memories Creative Kit, and Altenew do these inspiration kits and there's always so much in them to inspire, and this is a really pretty one. The stamp and die set that comes in the kit is called Cherished Memories. Has the Feeling Dotty stencil, which is a real cutie as well, and the You Are Loved die, which is like a one-piece large die, which is a real statement on a card or even on a scrapbook page. And I just was going to show you, I actually add some adhesive magnetic sheet to the back of my packaging, and that's how I store my dies. And did you see that last piece? It was a Creative Edges die, which is called, which is the lace one. Really pretty set. So I thought I'd make two cards to share with you today along the same theme, but very different. Starting with some pale grey cardstock, and I've got the Altenew embossing paste, and I didn't want this to look perfect, so I've kind of splotched it on, and then I'm using the Stencil powder just to even it out so it's nice and flat on top. And now I can set that aside to dry while I colour my images. I've stamped all of my images twice, but I'm just going to show you the colouring of one of the flowers and leaves because it's all pretty much the same. I'm using my artist markers today, and I haven't used orange in a while. I might be lying there, but I haven't. I don't think I've used orange in a while. So I've got my orange artist markers out, and I did mix it with the yellow as well because I wanted it to be a little bit, have like a highlight on the leaf. So what I've done is just add a bit of yellow to where I think the highlight on the petal, I'm saying leaf and I meant petal, was going to be. Come in with my darkest orange at the base of the petal and then blend it towards the lighter. And I did actually come from both edges of the petal here because I didn't leave any white spots, which is something I often do when I'm colouring. I wanted the yellow to be the only highlight within the petal, and then come back in with my yellow again just to smooth out some of those edges. And this is basically my first coat of colour. And I'm going to do all the petals pretty much the same, just adding those three colours in the same order and blending them out. So these are a really nice alcohol marker to use. They have refills available as well. So I've actually, and also spare nibs if you need them as well. And I have actually used the refills and find they're very easy to use, very similar to other alcohol markers. And the colours are beautiful. They match the Altenew inks, which suits me just fine. So once I've done the whole base colour of the flower on all the petals, now I'm coming in, this is actually almost a browny red colour. It's out of the 4 scoops set, so it's the darkest one. I'm thinking maybe chocolate, I could be lying. But anyway, I've adding just a small piece at the base of each of the petals here, and then I can come back in with my, I think it was the middle orange that I used, and then actually blend it all out again. I don't mind my shadow having some darker edges. It doesn't need to be perfectly blended. You don't want every petal to look exactly the same because light is going to reflect on them differently. But it was really fun to colour. And so like I said, I did all 4 of the flowers in the same sort of fashion. For the leaves, I used the lighter colour first, came in with the middle and then added some shadowing. And then once I was sort of happy with where I had my highlights on there, I just came back in with the lighter colour and simply blended it out. I do like to actually colour these line detail stamps in lines, but today I decided to colour them as a whole petal. I stamped it initially with my Misty and kept all my stamps in place, and I used the permanent black ink. And what I like to do then is come back in and stamp over the top with the obsidian pigment ink, and that just crisps up all those black lines and it looks really pretty. and I did use the coordinating dies to run this through my die cutter machine. So when I stamped out my images, I made sure there was enough space on the cardstock that I could run them all through at one time, and that's just a time saving thing. I've die cut the You Are Loved die with some jet black cardstock and also on some fun foam. Left the die cut in place within the fun foam, added some liquid matte medium, and then adhered the two together. Once it's nearly dry, pretty much dry, don't leave it for too long. I poke out all the middle bits of my die cut first, and then I can just weed it all out of the actual foam. And I keep those foam bits because I use them behind my card panels. I don't throw them away. I'm too tight for that. So my Dotty panel's all dry now, and I've cut that on an angle. I just eyeballed it. I'm stamping a couple of the images in the background on the front of the cardstock, on the front of the card itself. It's a top fold card, and I'm using the obsidian ink. I created a simple mask just with some copy paper, just to protect the flower as I stamp the leaf. And then, like I said, I used my scraps behind my popped up panels and added that with some Be Creative tape to make sure it's got a nice strong hold. I've used some liquid glue and also some little foam squares behind this You Are Loved die, because the section of the word You is going to actually be above where I've got the fun foam on my grey panel with the dots, so I did need to pop that up a little bit higher. And then to work out where I want my leaves, I used the Altenew tape runner, glue tape it's called, and I can actually just add some adhesive behind my flowers and sort of position my leaves where I'm happy. It's a really forgiving tape, but once it's been on for a little while, it has a really strong hold, so it's a great tape to use. I've also used some foam, adhesive foam behind my flower. I'm going to pop that up on the top of the card there, and I just thought it needed a little something else, so I've got some of the enamel dots from Altenew. They've got a few different colours, so I grabbed some of the black ones and also one of the grey ones. They're from the Greenfield set and also from the Rock collection. Once I have my enamel dots in place, I do like to add a bit of matte medium behind them. And the great thing about matte medium, if it squishes out the side, you can scrape it away. So I'm going to be using some of the the flowers now on my second card. I'm also going to be using the lace die, the Creative Edges die. And I thought it'd be easier because I do want to pop this up as well. I don't know what I was thinking. It seemed like a good idea at the time. But I thought it'd be easier to push out all those tiny little pieces from the fun foam before I attach my jet black die cut over top. So I've actually grabbed a different liquid glue here because the other one was clogging, but any of these liquid glues will hold really strongly with the fun foam and the cardstock. So I do find it's really important that I line up the die cuts, especially these intricate ones, as well as I can before it sets too hard, because I can't shift them after. And then if they're not on right, it really annoys me, and I've got to try and cut the edges off, and they're not as neat then as they are with a die cut. So I won't make you sit through this either, but I did have to poke out the other portions of this. I don't know what I was thinking. I should have just adhered it directly on the card front. It would have been much easier. It's just not the look I was going for. Alright, so I've grabbed one of the sentiments out of the set and I'm stamping it with some obsidian pigment ink directly onto the card front, and I'm adding some of the glue tape behind the flowers and leaves and just sort of moving them about till I'm really happy about the placement on the card. Like I was saying, it's a really forgiving glue until it dries and then it dries really hard, so it doesn't tend to leave any residue behind on the cardstock either. But if you did have a problem with that, you can always use one of those gum erasers. They work really well for that. But I like being able to shift my flowers and leaves around until I'm happy with the way they're sitting, and I'll often come back and do it again. So I've added some Be Creative tape to the back of the lace border, and using my grid lines here to line it up and adhering it directly onto the left side of the top fold card, and then I can just use some long straight scissors to cut the excess portions away. It wasn't the easiest to cut, but there you go. I have linked everything at the blog. If you haven't already, it would be awesome if you would like this video by clicking on the thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel. Altenew always has heaps of inspiration here. Don't forget to head over to the blog through the link below. Till next time, bye.